Solar is a leading provider of solar technology. Ascent's unique patented monolithic integration process enables the highest level of flexibility, efficiency, durability, and weight savings, revolutionizing the way that solar power can be delivered in everyday life. And with me is Ari Zoltan, CEO of Quantum Media, co-hosting with me today, and Paul Worley, the CEO of Ascent Solar. So great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the company and explain a little bit of the panel you brought and what you're doing to turn Ascent Solar around.
Okay, I came in as the CFO in December of 22, and then I was promoted to CEO in April of 23. And basically I sat my team down and said, we really need to get our watts per panel up, because that's going to differentiate ourselves in space. And we really have the only SIGS product that I'm aware of in the world. And here's SIGS, is the best way to do it.
SIGS, does that stand for something, or?
Cadmium, it's a chemical.
Okay.
So it's, so this is our SIGS product, okay? It's very light, rolls up like Christmas paper. There is one other technology out there that rolls up in the US. It's a bigger roll, and then there's the Chinese who have a silicate-based product that rolls, but both of those products are still very heavy. And so I sat my team down, they responded, we got our watts per panel up, and then we started marketing. So that was the turnaround. We're kind of a startup with a couple things. We have our own equipment, manufacturing equipment, it's there. We spent $100 million on this equipment, and it's there, ready to go. We had relationships with some of the space companies. So all this is where I wanted to move the company into space and very, very niche markets inside what I would call on Earth.
Okay.
So, but space, we get good margins, and our product differentiates itself because we're light, which means a lot, because when you go up into space, it can cost tens of thousands of dollars per gram to get it up into space. So if you're lighter, it saves money. We also have the ability to roll up, which can have some DoD, other things, when you want to try to hide satellites and things.
Okay.
And so that's that. And we're also starting to get more into power beaming too.
Interesting. And we're going to talk a little bit more about space in a minute.
Okay.
But
yeah, what's your professional background, Paul?
I have turned companies around for the last 10 or 15 years, a lot in energy. I was primarily prior to that, I was in lending, and then I joined Deloitte's corporate finance group, and there I basically specialized in green energy, associated with that, and also restructuring. I did a lot of capital raising and restructuring, primarily in the energy side, oil and gas.
Describe the history of Ascent Solar. You're listed here at the NASDAQ. I mean, when was the company founded? What's been the kind of evolution of the company?
It was founded about 20 years ago. It was a subsidiary of a larger corporation, which has now, I think, been bought 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So and they spun it off. And back then, at that particular time, you had a decision whether you wanted to go to the VC market or go public. Okay. And they decided to go public. And they really stayed. And that was one of the unique things about turning this around. They really stayed as more of a development company. And so I had to take people that were involved more in development and move them more towards a market-driven company.
And what's the size of the market? The space solar market specifically?
Okay, the space solar market is best summed up probably 10 years ago. It was 3 to 5 megawatts. And in 10 years, many people think it's going to be 250 to 300 megawatts. Okay.
What do you see as the opportunity? Like, where will this go, and how will those panels be used?
As a lot of people have read about some of this in space, we're going There's a lot of emphasis going to Mars. There's two ways to get to Mars. You either go to the moon and then use the gravitational pull, launch a rocket, and the gravitational pull of the moon will spin it around and you go up to that. Or you can put refueling stations in space and do the same thing. You would shoot your rocket into the gravitational pull and then flip it around the moon and go to Mars. One of the biggest uses of why you need solar is on the moon, you would beam solar power down to the moon, and that's how you would power. And these refueling stations require a lot of power because of the temperature in space. It goes from minus 60 to 200 degrees, and at Celsius, at 100 to 200, you have to keep the fuel cooled or it'll explode. And so that is why you need a lot of power in space.
Okay, so these panels would power those stations or whatever they are in space. Okay.
And they're way up, which requires a lot more capital or a lot more money to get it there if it's heavier, excuse me.
And what's the temperature like?
It ranges from minus 60 to 200 degrees Celsius.
So you've got a wide range there that you're going to have to deal with.
You have to deal with. We've been tested by certain groups, so we feel very comfortable with that temperature range.
What about space debris? What are the unexpected challenges in dealing with space?
The beauty about our product in general, we had about 10 years ago, we had Marines shoot up our product. But if something hits it and punctures a hole, the only place we lose power is where that specific damage was. Power will go around. Also, because it's so thin and light and something like that, if it does hit it, we don't create space debris. And so there's a big emphasis on space debris right now because it could take out a lot of the satellites, because when space debris is hurling around space, it's going at 20,000 miles per hour, roughly, yeah.
Goodness.
So it tends to put holes and damage stuff.
Yeah.
And what do you like what SpaceX is doing in the space? Is there one or two things that you've been zeroing in on that you appreciate some of where their efforts are being placed?
Well, SpaceX arguably controls 50 to 60% of the space market. They have developed a rocket that will launch and then come back down on the pad and stay there. What that does is it gives them the ability to relaunch the rocket in short periods of time. So they're the only ones that have really pulled that off, and that gives them an edge. And they've reduced the cost. They also, with any, whether you're going to fly, put payload on them commercially or working with the government, they don't do cost plus, they give fixed price. So it helps the taxpayers too.
Yeah. Well, absolutely fascinating. Best of luck, Paul. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ari.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.